A couple of days ago, I watched a video by Cr1TiKaL on the Promised Neverland Season 2. Now, this was a very negative video, and I agree with some of it and disagree with a lot of it. But basically, the main majority of the point of his video was the second season Promised Neverland was hot garbage he wouldn't wish upon his worst enemy. He said it was pretty much the most egregious thing to happen pretty much ever. And I'm currently watching The Promised Neverland season 2, and in my head I'm like, are we watching the same show here? Like, sure, there's some pacing issues, but it's not that bad. And then he mentions that it cut a lot of content out of the manga, and that I didn't know. So I decided to read the entire manga up until a point where we are now, which was like 90 chapters of content from where the Gracefield arc ended. So he had four main points. One, there's a lot of content cut from the manga, but he didn't personally read the manga, which I find very weird to complain about something you don't even know, but whatever. Norman has a ton of exposition in episode 6. In episode 6, it's pretty much just an episode of exposition, just a ton of tell no show. And in from episode 4 to 5, there's a jarring 1 year time skip. And now we're going to be addressing all of these points, everything that the anime has cut from the manga, and what exactly they've done with the content in the manga, and what they've changed, what they've altered. So we're going to go basically scene by scene, everything from the manga, and we're going to say what has changed, what they cut, and here we go. So first of all, very little changes in episode from 2 from the manga to the anime. There is one scene that the anime left out, but it's mainly a contextual scene that doesn't really matter for the overarching narrative of the story. It would have been nice to have seen it, but it doesn't change anything that was left out. This is the beginning of the Goldie Pond arc. We meet this character who goes nameless for most of his story arc, but his name is Ugo, and Ugo is lived in this shelter for 13 years. And he is now an adult. He escaped from a different um, farm previously, a long, long time ago, with his friends who are now all dead. That's why the anime even makes reference to him by having that teacup and those cookies on the table. Why are you making references to a character who you're not going to include at all? So they basically, the only reason why the anime included them going to this shelter at all for any reason was to get just a little bit of information from Minerva. I don't understand why the pen couldn't have had this information and they just go and do what they need to do with that. But it seems a little jarring to go to this shelter at all if they're just going to leave it after a day of them being there. Um, they change where it says poachers on the wall to help. And basically, I don't know why they had anyone previously occupy this shelter if none of it is going to matter at all and they're just going to leave it. It's weird choices of cutting out an arc and just supplementing it with loose bandages of masking tape to make it still fit cohesively in the story. They should have just put in um, the Goldie Pond arc. Then, uh, in the anime, the soldiers chase him. But let's go back. They enter. So season 1 ends chapter 38. That is where Promised Neverland, season 1 and season 2 break. Then it takes from chapter 38 to 53 to get into this bunker. So it takes a long time that they compress over 2 episodes, and they do it pretty well. Now, from chapter 53, where they enter the bunker, it goes to here. to where they leave the bunker in the next episode. All of this time, this happens at episode. This happens at chapter 104 in the manga, which means they cut out over 50 chapters of content. Over half the story just cut. Why? Why did they cut out over half the story? I don't know. I couldn't tell you because the Goldie Pond arc would have looked great on screen and it had some reasonably important I don't want to say develop. It had advancements in the plot. And it introduced some new characters who will become integral as the story progresses. Okay. Oh god, what the hell's wrong with my mouse? Okay, there we go. These masks that they wear are something that are in the manga. However, they happen within in between that 50 chapter period that they cut out. It didn't happen after they left. They already had them already made. However, now I'm going to take an opportunity to talk about what I like in the anime because if you only focus on negatives, it doesn't become a good comparison. These three characters right here, this blind old demon who visits the temple that they're staying at, and these two demons who are just living in the town. Elaborating on these characters gives Emma's need to uh, view these demons as other entities who are alive, who matter in the world context. It's really good for her character instead of what they do in the manga, where they don't have any of this connection time at all. They even allow the user to connect to these bottom two demons by showing them that they have kids who are regressing because they can't afford human meat. This is something that demons need to survive, to stay alive. Now, going away from this and talking about what I dislike immensely is this. This poison that Norman just has. Why does he have it? It's not specified. I'm assuming that he is going to basically say that he was lying and this isn't actually poison and it does nothing. But in the manga, they basically say, oh, well, if demons lose their food source, they regress, so we're just going to free all the kids and then all the demons will regress. Now, if they're using a literal drug to poison the demons, it makes a lot more sense why Emma would be against this, because it's just like, let's just get out of here. I don't understand why we're taking the effort to just kill all these demons. It doesn't make any sense. And Emma in the manga has had no time to connect with the demons. I don't understand why she would have sympathy for it, but besides her being an idealistic character. Um, Everything that happens in these scenes where they interact with Norman for the first time and his group of compatriots follow the manga perfectly. It's exact, down to each bubble. It's pretty much a script to script retelling. However, there is one big difference, and that is the setting this is told. Sure, they have the same three cups on the table, same shaped table, same couches, but instead of it happening at this rundown random secret hideout, in the manga, it takes place in this huge secret hideout with many other people that Norman has liberated as well. Anime, this only happens a year later. In the manga, this happens a full 2 years after, with many other events in between. Also, in the anime, Emma wants to save everyone, but she doesn't know any way to do it. In the manga, there is an alternative, however, she just doesn't know if it can be done, which gives that sense of hope instead of Emma seeming stupid and not like, oh, well, let's just not do it. Instead of, oh, there's another way. It's going to be harder, but we can push for this direction. But now let's go back to Moist Critical's 4 points, and we'll go over each of them one at a time. So, one, cut content. it cut out the Goldie Pond arc, which does cause some problems for the story. However, they added in scenes with the with Emma starting to sympathize. What is this? Ah, sympathize with some of these demons and actually giving an emotional connection to them, which is good. So even though they cut out an arc, they did supplement it with something, even though it was a poor patchwork of putting the two together. Um, Norman, another one of his points was that Norman has a huge amount of exposition in episode 6. However, the same amount of exposition happens in the manga, and you barely get to see what happens in the manga either. So this is not a problem with the anime. This is a problem with the overarching story. I'm not justifying this. What I'm saying is I'm sure that there will be more a flashback arc where it shows like exactly how they escaped. But it's the exact same thing in the manga. He doesn't have a problem with them going off. He seems to have a problem with what's happening in the story currently. And the entire time, there's been large amounts of exposition throughout all of Promise Neverland in season 1 and season 2. It's very exposition heavy. Like, the escape is only about a couple of episodes in the last part of the story. All the rest is all mind games and trying to figure out what the mystery is, unraveling it. Like, the show doesn't matter as much as the tell and what the characters are going to do about it and how they're developing and their ideals comparing with their intelligence. Now, another one of his problems was this show don't tell rule. Again, same thing happens in the manga. In fact, I would even argue to say that they show a little bit more in the anime with these two characters. Now, that episode 4 to 5 1 year jarring time skip, I don't know why the anime decided to place them in this village where they basically are feeding for scraps. And Norman seemed like a savior just because, oh, he showed up and saved Emma and Ray. In the manga, he saved everyone by having his allies take them to him. And they didn't even know Norman was alive until they pulled him in, uh, because of William. He basically took the persona of William Minerva to rally everyone behind him. Um, yes, but that 1 year time skip, very jarring. But in conclusion, I would say that the anime isn't that bad, and it is following the manga pretty well. It just cut out an arc that shouldn't have been cut out. I would say if I had to give it a score out of 10, I would definitely say it's a 5 or a 6, depending where it is now. I feel like it definitely has opportunities to further expand on what it is and where it's going. But as of right now, it's a 5 or 6 with a potential of being a 7 or 8. Definitely not a 9 or a 10. Not great or a masterpiece. Uh, if it followed the manga more closely, it could have been better. And it is a little sad how they cut out some fan favorite characters. But overall, yeah, the anime has not gone off manga except for episode 5 and 6. Everything else has been pretty much on manga. They just have cut content. It hasn't veered off into an anime only zone yet. It's still staying pretty much. Um, there's been a couple of bumps, especially the big one where they cut out an entire arc, but it's seeming to go still parallel with the manga. I don't understand the choice why they cut this out, nor do I think I will ever understand the choice. But I feel like Moist Critical is giving it a lot more hate than he should. It definitely isn't the worst thing I've ever seen, and I definitely wouldn't say, "Oh, I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy." or it's the most disgusting, egregious thing in all of anime. Especially with, the other shows coming out this season, specifically one in particular. Ugh. But anyway, I highly encourage everyone to give the manga a read. Uh, yes, the manga is definitely superior to the anime, especially now that it's gone off course. But I'm not disappointed. If I had to choose no adaptation or this adaptation, I would definitely choose this adaptation. I still feel like it's has room to grow and optimize. And there is still room for the Goldie Pond arc to be moved in after this one. It just will be a lot less cohesive. Anywho, that's all I have to say for this. This has been Anime Rambles. None of this is scripted. If you disagree, leave a comment. I like Moist Critical, but he is definitely not an anime YouTuber that I would put too much stock into. Uh, I know he does his best and he's truthful with his opinions, and I respect that. But honestly, I feel like he dropped the ball with this one and he was way too hard on this show. But that's it for me. Leave a like if you liked, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'm Bottlecap. See y'all in the next video. Bye bye.